So we're here on this beautiful rooftop at the Brand Marketer Academy, and we are talking to a group of kind of young, kind of first 5-10 years in the industry people, and giving them some motivation and inspiration for this time in the industry. So great to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Tell us about how you got to your role today. Like how are you doing what you're doing? What's your journey?
Yeah, today I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Cuisinart. It's like a kitchen appliances brand, very strong brand and a lot of upside. And I spent my whole career in CPG and fast-moving consumer goods and marketing. My first almost 20 years at Procter & Gamble in laundry category, blades and razors, Gillette brand. Working in the United States, but also globally, a lot of different roles across all the spectrum of marketing. So I was fortunate enough to learn a lot. Then I spent 2 years in health and wellness space. Then I came into the appliances business 4 or 5 years ago, and now I'm leading Cuisinart marketing.
Awesome. And how is it?
It's great. It is. It's very fun to work with food. It's a time.
My biggest passion in life.
Yeah, it's good. And I'm even a better cook now.
Oh, there we go.
Using the
helping
products.
you in your professional and your personal life. Great.
And it's a time a lot of disruption and changes, right? So everybody knows that. So it's been quite fun to learn and to see how do we grow the brand, which is a classical and strong brand, but how do we evolve that? How do we get closer to the younger consumers, younger millennials, Gen Z? So, we grow the brand in their eyes and we incentivize them to use our products for cooking and making better food at their homes.
You're right. A time of disruption and change is right. And I think some people are very nervous about where the industry is going. It's kind of either nervous or excited or a mix of the two. How do you help your teams kind of get through it and learn and sort of reinvent themselves in the ways that they need to?
Yeah, one thing is really to have a growth mindset, because we can't change any trend. We need to embrace it and see what is the best way to adapt the brand, because we have a brand vision, a strategy, a North Star that doesn't change, but how we get there, right? Vis-a-vis the tools we have, the disruption we have, consumers are choosing in different ways, a plethora of choices. So how do we engage with these consumers? How do we learn? How do we communicate the brand? So it's really having a growth mindset, learning agility, and a lot of curiosity, right? We need to be open to change our minds and to be wrong in the assumptions. And then if we find that the path we're pursuing is not the right one, we pivot, right? So it's a lot of this mindset, knowing a lot the foundation, but having the mindset to pivot and to be open to change and new ideas to get to the vision.
I love that. A growth mindset and then this kind of appetite for learning, right? And I think someone was talking about it inside that one of the biggest and most important traits is curiosity.
Yes.
Of knowing you don't know everything and continually having that appetite for learning. And then you see this current period of disruption is actually exciting and newness. What would be your biggest advice for someone getting into the industry right now at this time of disruption when everything is changing?
Yeah. Look, I think it's always good to get to know the fundamentals, right? Which of the industry, of brand, of consumers, how consumers behave, behavioral science. So all of the fundamentals, because kind of gives a ground, but also like be open-minded and curious, as we're saying. I mean, the things you learn today will be outdated tomorrow, but the principles and how you learn in an agile way is what are going to get you there. So be open to new things, constant learning and growth mindset, right? Be open to change your assumptions and see, depending on how you learn from the market, the data. You have data available today in an amazing way. So that's it. Curiosity, growth mindset, learning agility, always grounded on the foundation. And know a lot of your brand and the consumer, right? Because that's going to be your North Star. Whenever things changes, and maybe you can't cope with the pace of the change, but you know your North Star, you know the vision, you know what the brand stands for, why you're here, the purpose, right? This will ground you, make you go through good and bad times, but then adapt, learn, try, and infuse this culture into your team.
I love that word try, because it doesn't mean that you must succeed, right? Innately in the word try, there can be failure in that, right? Do you encourage your team to try and maybe fail and experiment? Is that a culture that you try to build?
Yeah, I try to also infuse, like, we will pursue what is our best idea of how to be successful.
Yep.
But knowing that we may get it wrong
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have all the information. And maybe tomorrow what you're doing now is going to be obsolete, right?
Yeah.
So nobody's going to run into failure, but we're going to go into success and thrive and strive to that.
Yep.
But we will know that we may fail.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll fail in the attempt of being successful. So we pivot. So we learn.
Yep.
So learning, there's
So it's
really
all a
no
journey
flavor.
at
Yes,
the
a
end of the
journey.
day.
Yes.
Yeah. What is your perspective on the importance of creativity? So obviously today there's a lot about creativity and the power of ideas and thinking. A lot of talk about can and like how to win at can. What do you sort of pursue for creativity in your company?
Yeah, no, creativity, it's a great tool that really help us and the brands to break through the clutter. It's fundamental. It's something we need to pursue. It's something sometimes we kind of forget with all the performance metrics and kind of
Totally.
you know, everything is a KPI and we have the algorithms and you could run, you know, by the numbers, but it's something we can't forget because really creates meaningful connections, human connections with the consumer right, and breaks the clutter, put the brand in their minds, resonate with them. So it's fundamental. I do think we need to keep infusing this into the brands and never forget because it's the other side. It's the human side, touching hearts, emotions, connecting with them.
Yeah, obviously I'm run a creative agency, so I 100% agree with you. Yeah. How do you infuse that into your team? Because I think it's tough with marketers, right? Because yes, you're responsible for so much, and there's so much that comes back to the numbers and the spreadsheets and the more tangible metrics. How can you really infuse a passion for and a belief in creativity in your team?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the way is to make them experience how it works, because if we just keep preaching and saying, I mean, they're gonna listen, they're gonna kind of understand, but they won't have the experience of, okay, how to work in a creative campaign, how to devise the insights that will feed into a great communication, great creative campaign. So as much as we can give them the opportunity, create the space, put that as a priority in the organization, that we will have to have, you know, pursue a way of creatively communicating to the consumer. And, you know, as many of the leaders we have or the younger people working on that and seeing it work with their experience, the better. Because they have the books, they have the internet to check, but like working themselves, they never forget it.
I love that. I love that. Really experiencing it yourself and like doing it firsthand and seeing the power that it can inject into a brand. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, so the people here are sort of 5-10 years into their career. What would be your advice to them right now on this point of their journey? Like what to go and experience? What from your journey would you say is a great step?
Yeah, I would say, you know, don't hold back on trying new things. If you feel the passion or you want to try new things in the career or try a new tool, I mean, just go for it. I think there will be no regret, because if everything goes right, excellent. If you don't succeed in X or Y metric, you're gonna learn, right? And you're young enough, you can. So it's really have the experience, try, be curious, be open for the new things you can learn, and also go after opportunities you can learn and will prepare for the future, right? The more you can learn now as you're young in the career, the better, because you're gonna pay dividends big downstream.
Are you still learning now in your career?
Yeah, I'm learning every day.
It's funny. I mean, I think we all are, but right now especially, right? I think that if you have to be like constantly on. I think anyone who says they're an expert in, say, AI is completely lying, because the next day it completely changes. So how do you make yourself learn? Because I find it difficult. I'm sure anyone who is in any role in our industry right now, you have your day-to-day pressures, the things that you're dealing with. How do you make sure you carve out time for learning and that curiosity?
Yeah, it keeps us on our toes. You know, it's a new topic, ever changing. You know, I do a couple of things. First, I talk to people who I know that know more than me, you know, like, you know, like, how did you do it? So I connect with them, and we have frequent chats. That's great. It inspires me, and I drive a lot in the commute, so I podcast all over the place, right?
Great.
So
Agreed.
And I try myself, you know, myself. So it's really into, you know, my solo search on the internet, which is vast, but also talking to people who are doing stuff that I would like to do.
Okay, what are your top podcasts? Tell us so that we can listen.
Oh, I like the CMO podcast from Jim Stengel, and I like a couple of them from the AI that the name doesn't come to mind now, but a couple of them that I have in my list. They're always about the tools and, you know, the new tools and so on, and I get to know this and that tool. And it's fun. And I try myself as well. And I have a couple of friends that I, kind of my peer mentors,
That's great. That's
which
awesome.
they have kind of their solo careers and they are advanced on trying new things and so on. So they keep me on my toes and teach me
I think
a
it's
lot.
interesting as well. You're talking about a sort of a body of inspiration, right? So there's podcasts of these third parties, and I'm
Yes.
sure that you read as well, but then also those conversations. And I actually sometimes find that conversations with individuals can be the most inspiring because you can hear their journey, you can hear specifics. I think hunting out those conversations as much as possible is always a great thing. Okay, what is one piece of advice that you give people who are starting out in their career? Like one thing to do, one thing to think about, one thing to aim for that you want to leave people with?
Starting the career, early on, seek to learn as much as you can, right?
Yeah.
Don't try to go only focus on the fast advancement or compensation.
Yeah.
You have to learn as much as you can early
Yep.
on because it's going to give you a breadth of experience that you're prepared to whatever comes next.
Yep.
You're going to be always in the forefront of learning curve, agility, and you'll be adaptable. And learning agility and adaptability are critical because you have no idea you're going to start in this industry now in 5 years, 10 years, how it's going to be. It's going to be totally different when I started, right?
Yeah.
Totally different, even than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's go for learning, which will prepare for adaptability so you can weather any change.
I think that's adaptability. It's very interesting. I think that so many people are concerned about where the industry is going and the trends at the moment. If you look back in the past, things like this have happened all the time, right? So when the internet was invented, when social media became a new thing, when e-commerce became this huge focus, right? There are these twists in our industry about how we approach the world as marketers. And that word adaptable, if you are adaptable, you see it all as part of the journey and actually you see it as a challenge, as exciting, rather than something that's threatening.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah. Fantastic.
Nice.
Well, great to chat to you.
Well,
yeah.
Nice meeting you. Great chat.